Hey there, everyone. It's GG Sober Sun. December 3rd. There is some alcoholic thought, conscious or unconscious, that comes before every slip. As long as we live, we must be on the lookout for such thoughts and guard against them. In fact, our AA training is mostly to prepare us, to make us ready to recognize such thoughts at once and to reject them at once. The slip comes when we allow such thoughts to remain in our minds, even before we actually go through the motions of lifting the glass to our lips. The AA program is largely one of mental training. How well is my mind prepared? So true. Meditation for the day. Fret not your mind with puzzles that you cannot solve. The solutions may never be shown to you until you have left this life. The loss of dear ones, the inequality of life, the deformed and the maimed, and many other puzzling things that may not be known to you until you reach the life beyond. I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. End quote. Only step by step, stage by stage, can you proceed in your journey into greater knowledge and understanding. And I believe that, if we ask, God will give us what we ask for in terms of understanding why certain things happen. But, there are other times when only time will reveal what we were meant to learn from certain things. I know for me, it took at least 5 years, somewhere in the region of 5 years, before I kind of got past my grief, the grief of my father passing. So it's not something that, it's something that I'm glad that God didn't poof me through. And then when my older sister passed away, let's see, that would have been 10 years later, something like 15 years after his passing. Yeah, 98. Yeah. So 15 years after his passing, she passed away. And I did not, I experienced a tremendous amount of grief, but I felt like I applied the principles of the program more when she passed than when my dad passed. I wasn't going to AA meetings at when my dad passed away in 98. I was heavily involved in church, but and I had never been to a funeral until the year that my dad passed, and that was the year I turned 30. So for 30 years I'd never been to a funeral, and then the year I turned 30, I went to 3 within 6 months. My maternal grandfather, in February of that year of 98, a guy that I worked alongside of part-time, and he worked in my unit, committed suicide. And then I found out my dad was dying, and he passed within a month. And so I had no tools. I mean, I had AA, And I really think that had I been in the middle of the AA life raft at the time, I would have handled all that much better. And then, I didn't drink, thank goodness, but I got arrested for assault within a month or so of his passing. And was spent 3 days on close watch for suicidal thoughts for the assault. And so, I didn't drink, but I did these things sober. You know what I mean? And I really believe, as I mentioned before, I experienced all that garbage way of dealing with life on life's terms because I wasn't going to meetings. I forgot the simple kit of spiritual tools that were provided to me. It was in the psych ward while I was on close watch that, somebody asked me, "What do you do for fun, Jim?" Like one of the facilitators or one of the counselors. And I couldn't answer the question. And then when asked to give input in group therapy one time to somebody who was crying and sobbing and really broken up emotionally, what I had to offer was 12-step recovery. And I thought, wow, that seemed to come so easily. Because I'm a Christian, right? But for me to go, you just need Jesus. And I understand the depth of that because of my own studies. But for someone who was crying out in pain, it's just like, I don't know what that means. It just sounds like, say the magic incantation of Jesus' name and you'll be fine. No, I believe that. Not magic incantation, because that's not what it's all about. But I believe Jesus is the answer in my faith walk, for sure. But AA provided me a simple kit of spiritual tools, right? That a rubber meets the road kind of faith. And for example, I believe my Christian faith, Jesus, died for my alcoholism. And I believe he died for people who said, who admit that we don't have it all together, right? That I'm deeply flawed. I'm a deeply flawed human being. And Jesus says, great, I'll take it from here. If you give it to me, I'll take it. I'll carry your burdens. I've done it. I've already done it for you, right? So I don't think there's any other faith that I know of that answers the 6th and 7th step, like Jesus, like Christianity. Like, why would a perfect, omnipotent, all-knowing God forgive me? Remove my character defects? Why? Why would he be willing to do that? Why would it be willing to do that? Whatever you want to call it. Because he took care of it. He provided a way. And I could go into the deeper theological Judeo background of all that, but not in a 10-minute video. So, but grief, I don't always know the answer, but I'm glad that God didn't poof me through it. And as I was saying, when my sister passed away, I had been involved in a motor vehicle accident within months prior to her passing, which was a traumatic experience. And then her passing unexpectedly. She was only 4 or 5 years older than me. So I was grief-stricken, but I kept praying the 11-step prayer. God, give me knowledge of your will for me and the power to carry it out. Knowledge of your will. I was like just like a mantra. God, give me knowledge of your will for me and the power to carry it out. Knowledge of your will for me and the power to carry it out. Because I was doing some really weird things, man. Just like manically cleaning, and then like just wanting to lay in bed in the fetal position. And I could see that I was doing these things. I was aware of what I was doing in my grief-stricken state. And it stirred up a lot of stuff, old stuff, from my sister. You know, some old traumas and things like that we experienced together. And I reached out to people in recovery, and I was plugged in, and I was able to do the next right thing. I spoke at her memorial service. I was the only one of my nuclear family from growing up that spoke at her memorial service. And I felt really good about that. You know, that my recovery program got me to do the next right thing. So, prayer for the day. I pray that I may be content that things that I now see darkly will someday be made clear. I pray that I may have faith that someday I will see face to face. And I can just trust that God's got it all figured out. One day at a time. Keep coming back, y'all. Love you. Look up. Aim up. Rise up.